Welcome back. The next technique that I want to look at is the lazy stitch. And over the years, there's been a push to change the name to lane stitch. You would have seen that in the first assignment. There's some really good information about it. This was the traditional way of beading regalia, moccasins, um, anything to adorn your your dress. Um, and there's so many beautiful patterns, and a lot of times I use smaller beads in this. We're using size 10 seed beads as a beginner bead, but there are smaller. The numbers actually go up the smaller they get, and they go down the bigger. So from a size 10, which is a good beginner size because you can actually see the beads, um, we also have size 11, which is a little bit smaller, and then 13 is another size. This one here is 15. So 15 was really common for the lazy stitch. You could see the difference here, if you can see that. There, focus. There we go. See how tiny those little 15s are? Yeah, that's why we're not using them. They are so small. Okay, get those out of the way. All right, so I gave you a piece of leather which has multi-purposes. You could use it for practicing your lane stitch. You could use it to wrap a feather, to bead around a feather. Mostly just to practice with. So what we're going to do is string on some thread. Again, I'm using red just so you can see it better in the video. I've got a little chunk of leather here, and what I'm going to do, you got one side, whichever side I think I beaded the back side on this one just to see how it would work out. What we're going to do is we're going to knot one side of your thread. 2 or 3 knots will be plenty. Okay. And the technique here is to grab the top layer of the leather just a little bit. It's not going through the back side. It's simply just catching something on top here to hold it. I'm putting my knot here on top, and we're going to bead over it to hide the knot. So I'm going to start out with, we're going to do 7 beads. 7 seems to be a really nice number to work with. That's 6, 7. All right, we're going to lay down at the end of our string here. I'm kind of using my thumbnail to push the beads back, and then holding the beads down with my other thumb, my left finger. So we're going to take our needle and we're going to enter the leather where the beads end. And again, we're not going through the leather, we're just going through the top layer, but we're going at a sideways angle That might have been too far over. We just want to catch a little bit of the thread, and we want to move over so we can layer another layer of beads next to this. That should be good. You'll get used to the sizing of your beads. If you put them too close together, it'll bunch up. If it's too far away, you'll have gaps. This one here was my very first practice one ever, and you see there's a lot of gaps, a lot of give. This is also 9 beads, which is why I'm reducing the number. We're going with 7. Pull that. You got your first lane of beads. What I'm going to do now is pick up 7 more, but I'm going to start a pattern here. Graph paper is really awesome for designing, so get yourself some graph paper. Turning my work around just so that I can get these beads to lay down the way I want them to. So tighten them up, hold your finger over, and I wanted to hide this knot, so we're going to tuck it. I'm going to put my needle down at the end of the beads here, and we're going to go over. There we go. Can you see that? So I just picked up a little bit of the top layer of leather, pull it down, and you'll see I've got no string coming out the back. The next row is going to have another 7 beads. We're going to get these to lay there. Obviously you wouldn't use red thread, you would want to use something that matches or blends. If you're using black leather, use black string. So hold that down, put the needle through the top layer. You want to inch over a little bit. It's probably too far. Takes a little practice. Okay. When they just back and forth. Your patterns can get really extravagant. Once you get the 7 beads, you get as wide as you want. Add your other 7 beads below or above it to get your pattern to grow larger. And that is your lane or lazy stitch.